You see, every single year, Accra does something that shouldn't be possible. It waits, the clouds gather, rain fall, the water covers our roads, it enters people's houses, it even takes the lives of some of our people. So people get angry because of this. Then the government steps in, makes one or two promises. Then a few days later, the water goes away. Then we repeat the whole cycle the following year. I mean, think about it for a second. This isn't the first time Accra is flooding. It isn't the second time. It isn't even the 10th time. So why does it always feel like nothing changes? You see, even before the rain falls, weather forecasters come on news and warn the people about heavy rains. So residents already know which roads are going to be flooded. Taxi drivers know which routes to avoid, and yet nothing changes every single year. And here's the strange part. If you ask 10 different Ghanaians what the cause of flooding is in Accra, you're probably going to get 10 different answers. Some people will tell you that it is the gutters, very obviously, right? Some people will tell you that it is illegal building. Some people will tell you that it is climate change. Some people will tell you that it is the government. Some people will tell you that it is even other people. Everybody has their own feeling. Everybody has somebody they can point their hand to and blame for the flooding in Accra. But what if everyone is seeing just one piece of the puzzle? Because if the answer was just as simple as cleaning gutters, I'm sure the government would have solved this problem a long time ago. If the answer was just as simple as go and clean the gutters, we would have solved this problem a long time ago. So forget everything you've heard for now. Let's pretend we are all investigators. One city, one question. Why does Accra flood every single year and nothing ever changes? So let's start with something almost all of us believe: the gutters. You see, every time Accra floods, we see the videos on Facebook and TikTok. We see plastic bags, polythene bags, trash and stuff. We see them filling the drains, and immediately what comes to our mind is this is the reason why Accra is flooding every single year, because of the rubbish. I mean, we see rubbish entering gutters and stuff. You see sacks, plenty, even what's the name, tires, car tires, we see them choking gutters. So immediately when we see these videos, our mind tells us that what this is the cause of flooding in Accra. And honestly, it is hard to disagree with, because if water has nowhere to pass because the gutters are choked, it's choked with rubbish and car tires, obviously the water will run back to the streets and it will enter people's houses. But here's the question: what if we clean every single drain in the country, or just in the Accra, in that particular city? What if we clean every single drain, every single gutter, not just some particular area that floods, every single gutter? Nothing choking the drains anymore. Will the flooding stop? Well, maybe and maybe not, because if simply cleaning the gutters was the answer, then why didn't we just do it like years ago? We could have just cleaned all the gutters. The government could have just organized a cleaner that would just get rid of all the gutters, or clean all the gutters. And don't get me wrong here, I'm not saying that choked gutters and blocked drains doesn't cause flooding. As a matter of fact, it does. These choked gutters and blocked drains, they make flooding worse. But that is just the part of the problem that we see. But the problem is much bigger than a gutter. And to understand it, we need to stop looking at these drains and focus more on the city itself. So right now, I know you're going to be thinking, if the gutters isn't the problem, then what is the problem? Well, let's forget about the rain for a minute. The Accra that our grandparents and their grandparents lived in is different from the Accra that we live in today. The city has grown fast. More houses, more people, more cars, more roads. Every single year, people, or try to say thousands of people all over Ghana, move to Accra in search of jobs, school, or even to live a better life, and the city keeps expanding. Now, at first, that might look like a good thing. Cities are supposed to grow. Yes, but sometimes they grow faster than they were planned for. Think about your own neighborhood, for example. How many spaces or empty spaces has disappeared over the last 10 years? Places that used to be open land are now filled with houses, shops, apartment buildings, concrete. Now, here's something most of us don't think about. When rain falls on grass, it sinks into the ground. But when it falls on concrete, it has nowhere to run. And when millions of liters of water falls on concrete and is running at the same time, they try to find somewhere to go. And this is where the drainage systems comes in, and this is why the drainage systems and the gutters are very important. But what happens when a city grows faster than the drains were designed for? The answer is very simple. The water finds its own way. And unfortunately, this path that the water finds, sometimes it is our streets, sometimes it is our houses, sometimes it is our shops. Now let's add another problem. Some buildings have been put up in water pathways or areas that naturally help carry water away during heavy rains. And when these pathways have been blocked by houses, the water doesn't just disappear, it finds new routes. And that is when places that never used to flood suddenly starts flooding. So maybe the question isn't why does Accra flood? Maybe the better question is, has Accra outgrown the system that was meant to protect it? Now, I know at this point you might be thinking, okay, we found a problem. The city has grown, the drains can't keep up, some waterways have been blocked by illegal buildings, so all the government has to do is just step in and fix it, right? Well, that is not the case. Or should I say, I wish it was as simple as that. Because imagine this, tomorrow morning yes, you the one watching, you are sworn in as the new president of Ghana, and your first promise is that I am going to solve the flooding issue in Accra. Sounds good, right? Now, how are you actually going to do it? Are you going to build bigger drains? Of course, but where? Some roads are already packed with buildings and shops all over Accra. Now, expanding those drains could mean demolishing buildings. And who makes that decision? You. Yes, because you are the president. Now tell me, will you feel comfortable doing that as a president? No, because there are families living in those buildings. Some people have been living there their entire lives for years, and they have nowhere else to go, and you come and tell them that you want to demolish their buildings and expand the gutter there. It won't feel fair to them, right? So now yes, you are still the president. Your engineering problem has now become a human problem. And don't even get me started with the cost, because the cost of drainage expansion doesn't cost millions, it costs billions of cedis. Because imagine the contractors will have to uproot all the gutters and then expand the space. They have to like widen the space. They have to break all the buildings around the gutters. You have to widen the space and then put the concrete for the new gutters. Imagine how much that is going to cost. And that is the problem, because projects like this don't happen overnight. They take years, sometimes longer than a single government's time in office. And that's where things become difficult, because floods don't care about election cycles. The rain doesn't care about the next budget or even the next administration. It comes when it comes, which means that solving this problem isn't simply just about building better drains. Which means solving this problem isn't simply about building better drainage systems. It is about making hard and difficult decisions and living with them for years, even when they are unpopular and nobody's clapping. And maybe, just maybe, that is the hardest part of all. So after everything we've talked about, what is the answer? Is it the gutters? Partly. Is it the way Accra has grown? Definitely. Is it poor planning? Also yes. But even after everything we've talked about, I honestly still don't think that is the biggest problem. I think the biggest problem here is we have grown to accept flooding as a normal thing in Ghana. I mean, think about it. Every single rainy season, people already know which roads to avoid. Some shop owners already know they are going to lose goods. Even some families already know and expect that water is going to enter their homes. And we've been making jokes about it. I mean, recently, before the flood started, when it started at its base stage, I realized that people were posting jet skis on their status. Jet skis, those things that are like motorbikes that they are riding on water. I saw people posting them on their status and making jokes about it. We've normalized flooding in Ghana. And that shouldn't be normal, because when the problem becomes normal, it stops feeling urgent. We stop asking difficult questions. We stop seeking long-term solutions. Instead, we move on, and until the next rainy season, then we are right back where we started again. Flooded houses, flooded streets, people losing goods in their shop. And this is the part that even pains me the most. People lose their lives because of this flooding. So yeah, maybe that's why it feels like nothing ever changes. Not because nobody knows the problem, but because it takes years to solve it, while forgetting it only takes a few sunny days. So maybe the real question was never why does Accra flood every single year. Maybe the real question was, how long are we willing to call this normal? Because if nothing changes, we know how this is going to end. We are going to see the same headlines next year. If this video has changed the way you see Accra flooding, then that is exactly why I made it. Not to point fingers at anybody, not to blame anybody, not to pretend as if solving the problem is going to be something easy, but to ask the real questions that matter. I'm Remy, and I'll see you in the next one. And please, don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next one.